All right, let's talk about it. You get a notice from your internet provider, Comcast, Verizon, whoever, and you see words like subpoena and lawsuit, and a company name, Strike 3 Holdings. Instantly, your heart starts pounding. It's a moment of just pure panic. What in the world is this? How did they find me? And what am I supposed to do now? Well, stick with me. We're going to walk through all of it, step by step. First things first, just take a breath. Seriously, the way you're feeling right now, that shock, that stress, it's completely normal. This quote right here is from someone who is in your exact shoes. The good news is, they got through it. There's a path forward.
And believe me, you are so not alone. Thousands and thousands of these notices are sent out. The key, really, is to not let the panic take over. The key is to understand what's actually going on. So let's pull back the curtain and break it all down. What this notice is, who sent it, and most importantly, what you can do about it.
So the big question on your mind is probably, how did they find me? How did they connect some random download to my house, to my internet connection? Well, it all starts with a very specific legal strategy called a John Doe lawsuit. And the company behind all this is Strike 3 Holdings. So who are they? They're a company that produces adult films, and right now, they are by far the most active company in the country filing these kinds of copyright lawsuits against individuals for allegedly downloading their movies. So here's their playbook, and it's actually pretty straightforward. First, they monitor file-sharing networks, like BitTorrent, and they track the IP addresses that are sharing their copyrighted films. Now, an IP address is basically just the public address for your internet connection. Next, they take that list of IP addresses and file a lawsuit. But since they don't have your name, they can't sue you directly. So they sue John Doe. It's a legal placeholder. Then they get a court order, a subpoena, and send it to your internet service provider, demanding to know the name and address tied to that IP address. And that leads to the final step, that notice you just got. Now, this is maybe the single most important thing to understand right now. When you get that notice from your ISP, your name is not in the public court file. As far as the court and Strike 3 are concerned, you are just John Doe. You are still anonymous. And this period of anonymity, it's absolutely crucial because it's when you have the most control and the most options. Okay, so we've covered the how. We know how they found you. But let's dig into the why. What is Strike 3 Holdings actually trying to accomplish with all of this? What's their end game? So a little more about the company. They're the creators behind some pretty well-known adult film brands like Blacked, Tushy, and Vixen. They're owned by a larger media company, and as we said, they file more of these lawsuits than anyone else. But what's really interesting is that, according to their own court filings, the money they make from these lawsuits is just a tiny fraction of their overall revenue. So, if it's not a huge moneymaker, what gives? That leads to the one question that really keeps people up at night. Is their goal really to drag you into a big, messy, and very public court battle? And the short answer is, probably not. For the most part, the business model here seems to run on leverage. It's built on the shock, the fear, and, let's be honest, the potential embarrassment of being publicly accused of this. The goal isn't always to win in court. It's to create enough pressure to make you want to pay a settlement and just make it all go away, quickly and quietly. Okay, so you get the who, the how, and the why. Now for the most important part of this whole thing. What can you actually do? When you get right down to it, you've got 4 main paths you can take. So your first 2 options are kind of the big ones. Option 1, you can try to settle the case anonymously. The upside, it's private, it's relatively fast, and you get peace of mind. The downside, you have to pay a settlement fee. Then there's option 2. You can fight it in court. The pro here is you might win and you could even get your legal fees paid for. But the con is a big one. It's incredibly expensive, your name will almost certainly become public, and if you lose, you could owe way, way more. Now, the other 2 options are a bit different. Option 3 is the gamble. Do nothing. Just ignore the notice. If you do that, your ISP is illegally required to hand over your name after the deadline. From there, Strike 3 might just drop your case. Or they might decide to formally serve you with a summons, and then the stakes get a whole lot higher. Option 4 is a specific legal move called a motion to quash. This is basically asking the judge to throw out the subpoena. Pro, if it works, the case against you could get dismissed. Con, it doesn't work very often, and they can sometimes just fix the mistake and come right back at you. Now, no matter which option you're leaning towards, here are 3 things you should absolutely, positively not do. 1. Do not ignore a court summons. That's different from the ISP notice. A summons is a direct order from a judge. Ignoring it is a guaranteed loss. 2. Don't start deleting files off your computer. That can be seen as destroying evidence and can make things a million times worse. And 3, don't call the lawyers on the other side, and definitely don't sign anything they send you without talking to your own lawyer first.
So as you can probably tell, this is not your typical legal problem. This is a very niche, very specific area of federal law. And when you're navigating something this specialized, having the right guide isn't just helpful, it's everything.
When you look for that kind of experience, the numbers can really tell a story. For example, a specialized firm like Antonelli Law, they've helped over 5,000 people deal with these exact kinds of BitTorrent lawsuits since 2011. And get this, of those 5,000 cases, more than 2,000 of them were specifically against Strike 3 holdings. That means they have seen this company's exact playbook over and over again. And that focus is built on a deep foundation of experience. The firm's lead attorney, Jeffrey Antonelli, has been a licensed attorney for 24 years, working in federal courts all across the United States. And this chart, well, it says it all. This is what specialization looks like. For an attorney like Jeffrey Antonelli, a staggering 80% of his entire law practice is dedicated to this one specific issue. It's not a sideline, it is the main event. And that focus runs deep throughout the whole team, from the senior attorney with decades of experience all the way through the staff. A huge chunk of their work is laser-focused on these copyright cases. That means they know the tactics, they know the opposing lawyers, and they know the process inside and out. In this quote right here, this really drives home why finding the right kind of experience is so important. This person talked to 2 different specialist lawyers. One of them used high-pressure tactics, told him the other lawyer's estimate was not at all realistic, but he trusted his gut. And in the end, the case settled for even less than the calm, realistic estimate he got from Jeff. It just goes to show you the best strategy is based on experience, not scare tactics. All right, we've gone through the problem, the players, and why a specialized guide matters so much. So what's the bottom line? What's your path forward from this exact moment? The most important takeaway is this. Your first step is not to hit the panic button. It's to do exactly what you've been doing for the last few minutes. Get informed. You need to understand the process, really know your options, and then talk to someone who has been down this exact road thousands of times before. That is how you turn that initial moment of panic into a clear, actionable plan. And all this really leaves us with a much bigger question, doesn't it? As thousands of these lawsuits get filed every year, you have to wonder, is this a necessary, if aggressive way to protect creative work in the digital age? Or has it morphed into something else, a highly efficient business model that runs on privacy concerns and fear? That's the huge debate that your individual situation is a tiny part of.